Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, the host of the Today Show, brought to you by the Disability Channel. So traditionally on Wednesdays, we talk about wellness, but we have a very special feature today. Brandi will be joining us shortly, and we'll certainly be able to ask her some questions about how she takes care of herself, I'm sure. And we'll tie our wellness theme into that. Right now, we're streaming live on my Facebook page, Laurie Davis, also on my two YouTube channels, the Disability Channel, the Disability YouTube channel. I think we're on about 15 platforms. I just can't really name them all, but you know how it goes with social media, right? So please join us. And I think somebody's here already watching us live. And looking forward to our broadcast today. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's see, do we have any other big announcements? We're still burning up here in Alberta, Canada, with the wildfires. Of course, everybody knows that our beautiful tourist town of Jasper, right in the Rockies, has been, I think, about 30% buildings down. So just a little fire update, and we have firefighters who've come in from all over the world to help fight our flames. And of course, California too. All of our friends in California are at risk if they're in those fire areas. So yeah, that's on the fiery side of things, but we're still here. And actually, for those of you that don't know, last year at this time, my family, we were evacuated for 2 weeks. And my husband and I and our dog lived in a camper with another couple and their 3 dogs. Can you imagine? 4 adults and 4 dogs for 2 weeks in this little space. But you know what? It was amazing. And we really learned how to be more grateful and more appreciative of everything we have. Right? So who's with us this morning? Oh, Kathy. Oh, good morning, Kathy. Yes, the air quality is very good right now. Thank you. Kathy is our backup person, our admin person, and she takes care of a lot of things in the background for us. So without wasting any more time, let's welcome our guest. And I have to ask her if it's Brandi Wyne or Brandi Wyne, because Brandi Wyne sounds really good together. So good morning, Brandi.
Good morning. And you actually had it right the second time. It is Brandi Wyne. It is such a weird spelling, though, that a lot of people pronounce it the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, I'm hearing that you hail from one of my favorite cities on the planet, Seattle, Washington. I lived there for a year and absolutely loved it.
I am. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to get to live. The air quality is wonderful here. The only downside is we don't quite get as much summer as everybody else, but we always make the most of it when we do. So it works out.
Absolutely. Well, when I was living there, I couldn't believe it that those very hardy pansies were in the pots in January, February, and I was delighted because I was from the East Coast and used to lots of snow and wind and rain. So, but anyway, it was a beautiful experience, and we look back on that with fond memories. So let's get to know you now. Your face is your picture's frozen, but we can hear your voice.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, not sure what happened. Maybe a little drop in your internet or something there.
And yeah, lovely Seattle weather. It's actually kind of gray and raining outside, so it's
there you go.
Always a little questionable.
Right. So you are the lead singer in your own band, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I am the lead singer. We actually just call it Brandi Wyne. And we are, actually, I'm not really sure what we are. We've been classified as a pop rock / alt rock meets Motown group. So
nice.
Take that with a grain of salt, and we're pretty much whatever people want to say we are, but it's music. It's fun music. So that's the important part.
So how long ago were you inspired to be in the music industry? Are you there full time or do you have another career? Um, that's two or
Uh,
three questions.
well, I'm a mom, so
Okay.
that's always another career. My two beautiful children are entering their teen years, so that's going to be a new exciting challenge. I was brought into music actually at a very, very young age. My father was the frontman for his own band. So I was getting to go on stage when I was about 5 years old
Oh,
with some
wow.
of his performances. And I just got the bug. I started doing talent shows and grabbing every music program I could from then on. And my first originals band was when I was 19.
Mhm. All right. That sounds great. Now, do you play instruments? Do you just sing or not just, but do you sing and or play other instruments besides your voice?
I do. I was actually in college, not that it's something I use now. I was a violin dual major, voice and violin. So I have 15 years of classical violin. I play a little bit of piano. I play a little bit of guitar. And let me think, what else? I fiddled around with a couple of other instruments here and there. I can do a lot of learning on the fly by sound. So if it's put in front of me, I can usually figure it out. But yeah, I love trying new instruments and trying to figure out new ways of playing them. So that's always been something that's been fun for me.
Excellent. Now, are your kids musical? Have they picked the bug? Have they picked up on the bug?
So my oldest, my son Kai, we've tried. He did a few years of piano. I tried introducing him to violin. None of it really stuck. He took drums for a couple years and enjoyed banging on them, but nothing serious. My daughter is a different story. She took 6 years of piano starting when she was 3, and she still does play a little bit now. She has her own keyboard. She likes messing around with that. She's actually started doing some songwriting. One of my songs, Victim, I actually wrote with her, and she came in studio and got to experience the whole recording process with everything from, the initial concept all the way through to mixing and mastering. And right now she's really big into musical theater. So whatever she
Nice.
chooses to do, I'm going to support her in. But right now she seems to be leaning more towards wanting to do theatrical plays and musicals and things like that.
Right. Well, that's very nice. That's excellent. So you just mentioned you're not only a singer and you not only play a variety of instruments, you write songs. Well, that's a totally different skill, right?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of comes along with the territory. But with songwriting, I think anybody has the ability to do it. It's whether or not they just want to sit down and jot down what's been happening in their
Mhm.
lives or what they've seen. But it is a very good outlet, though. I know you were talking about wellness earlier. That is actually one of the ways that I de-stress and I cope with things is by songwriting or performance. It helps to get any emotions or pent up thoughts out and into the universe so that they're no longer in me and holding me back or holding me down.
Very good. Yes, yeah, and I'm, happy that you tied that in because I was going to ask you with your schedule, being a parent, working, how do you what are some things? That was actually my question. You must have been reading my mind. Um, what do you do to stay balanced and to stay, with it, right?
Yeah, the songwriting is definitely a big one. If I'm really upset, banging on a piano usually makes me feel a little bit better. I also love to garden. So weeding is a really good outlet when you're frustrated or angry or stressed about something. Just in general, getting to nurture plants and seeing them grow, that's always been something that's been extremely enjoyable for me.
Mhm.
I've learned, though, you do not edge bushes or trim bushes when you're not in a good mood because they end up being a little bit short. Uh, so
Right.
yeah, so I love doing that. I have two dogs, which
Oh, what
are,
kind of
two
dogs?
other children. They're a huge stress relief. getting to talk to them, or just, sit on a couch and cuddle and pet them, or even going for walks. Sometimes if I'm in a really bad mood or not feeling energetic, just going out with them and taking a walk is all I need to kind of turn my day around.
Yes, I do that every morning. I have a dog, and that's the first thing I do in the morning. We have a big park across the street. So even if I'm not dressed, I don't care anymore. I just take him and across to the park, and I walk the whole park around. And then that's how I get to start my day too. And you're right. Our dog really helped us through COVID. And we inherited him just before COVID from a friend of mine who was passing away. And he wanted me to take him. And he's so cute. He's a boxer. And yeah. And like you said, when you sit on the couch and cuddle, they can absorb that negative energy and take it right out of us, can't they?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's cool. So did you grow up in Seattle, or are you a transient into Seattle?
I am a transient. I came here because of my now ex-husband's job. Um, Originally, I am from Florida, a little town called Arcadia, which nobody has ever heard of, but it's okay. It's about 2 hours south of, I guess we'll say, Disneyland. Disney World, I guess, is out there. And then I moved to Cleveland, Ohio, and I spent quite a few years out there. And my late teen years was going back and forth between Ohio and Florida quite a bit. I actually went to 6 different high schools. So it was a little bit stressful, but at the same time, I've made more friends in more areas than I can count, which is kind of cool looking back on it. So there's like a little bit of me from everything. Unfortunately, when I get really upset, some of the little Southern drawl stuff comes out, and I really try to hide that because especially my children love picking on me about it. But it's just it's there. It's a part of me.
Well, I just love talking like that because when I go down there, I'm not there very long and I'm talking like that.
You pick it up very quickly if you spend
Oh, I
a decent
know.
amount of time.
Yeah, especially if you go to Texas or Dallas, that whole thing. But I love that. So yeah, Florida. Well, you see, Florida, I am familiar with because I'm from the East Coast, Nova Scotia,
Oh,
Canada.
okay.
And of course, when you're on the East Coast and you want to get down to the warmer weather, we'd always go
That's
down
where you go.
Carolinas, Georgia, Florida. Now I'm in the West. I border on the state of Montana. So I'm in Western Canada now. So now you go to California and down your neck of the woods. You're just south of us, right? So Washington is so beautiful, and Oregon. Oh my gosh. Yeah, just amazing. So let's see. What else do we want to talk about? How do you feel about this? Is maybe a sort of a political question, but how do you feel about women in the industry versus men in the industry, in the music industry? Is it easier for guys? Is it easier for girls? Is it balanced? Things have changed a lot, of course, over the years, but how do you feel about that right now?
That kind of depends on which side of music you're looking at and what part of music oh, yeah, it's kind of a tricky question. So for women musicians, there's definitely a lot more risks. It's not necessarily a safe industry, which is a platform that I know some women are trying to make to try and change that. Um, Besides working late nights and worrying about people in the crowd or, anything like that, you have to worry about stage managers and other bands. And so that
Yes.
can get a little dicey. Thankfully, I've never had that experience. Everyone I've worked with has been absolutely charming and wonderful to be around. My band also, though, my two older members, my lead guitarist and my bass player, they kind of act like my dad. So no one dares come up to me because they're hovering, which is
Oh,
funny.
yeah. Okay.
Um, the hard part of the industry, at least that I've found, is women are pressured to sell more of their image than they are their music, and that part really bothers me. I tend to be a conservative person, and I have a 13-year-old daughter. I'm not going to do anything that I'm going to be embarrassed for her to see or for someone later to see. And when people talk about me, I want them to talk about, you know, what the song meant to them or how it made them feel, not, you know, she was on stage in a bikini and a light up bra, you know, it's, but
Right.
that's kind of what's pushed. And in this industry, I've actually, unfortunately, had a few people say, hey, you know, if you show a little more skin, you'd probably get further. And it's like, yeah, but that's
Wow.
not what I'm doing this for. So from that aspect, it is definitely more difficult, because guys can just be themselves on stage and they're just accepted. The top out age too for men, there's kind of a double standard. A guy can be in music into his late 50s, early 60s and still be popular and, you know, play and tour. And women, once we get up pretty much into our late 40s, we're told we're done. That's our max shelf life. And there are some exceptions of women who have been able to push past that, but it's extremely, extremely difficult. And most of those women had to start their career as teenagers, which poses their, you know, its own problems and skill sets
Mm-hmm.
that come along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's tricky. In general, music as a whole has just become more difficult for everybody, though, with streaming services and not there's like this ocean of music now. So being heard is much more difficult. Getting recognition is much more difficult, and the scammers are everywhere, swimming like sharks, ready to attack at any opportunity. So we've always got to have our guard up. So, yeah, I want to say it's maybe a little more difficult for women than it is men, but again, it just depends. Some guys might argue that, well, we have that ability to use our bodies to sell music, and that's not fair, because then that's an easier way of getting seen and getting heard when a guy with talent might not be. So
Mm-hmm.
it's, again, it depends on which side you take on it.
Yeah, well, I think that was a very good answer. Thank you, because I've often wondered about that. I mean, you know, and a lot of it has to do with marketing. I mean, just ask Taylor Swift about that, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, the when you who you've got behind you and all that. But yeah, I wondered about that. I was just watching an old video of Loretta Lynn, and she was doing just on YouTube. Um, I it was her tour in London. She was fairly young at the time, but she did this big tour in London, England. And so I was just kind of watching that. And, you know, the old microphone with the wire coming out, and she had to swing that around and get it around her gown. And, you know, how things have changed in just even the production and how we get to see things now, right? We have a singer watching the show, a very good friend of mine. She's a beautiful singer. Her name is Jill Younghusband. I see she has left a comment here. Let's see. What did she say? The music industry has changed so much over the years. I miss record stores. I miss reading album inserts and seeing what musicians played on the songs and credits. Yeah. They used to,
Yeah.
you know, even when we buy our CDs, which are now old technology, you know, there was oftentimes a little leaflet in there with a little history. And thank you, Jill, for that comment. That's awesome. Yes. And Jill is a co-host of mine on Thursdays. She's a veteran, but
Oh, wow.
she's also an amazing singer, and she has sung lots of songs around, you know, the veteran military community, and it's kind of fun and interesting. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah, and she does make a valid point. You know, record stores were not only a place to listen to things, but it was a place where we learned about music. I
Yes.
remember being a kid and going, "Yeah, I like this style of music." And the record store person helping me would be like, "Well, what are some of the bands?" And I tell them, you'd be like, "No, no, no, that's not that genre. You need to come over here." And so like they would kind of guide you, and they'd open up your eyes to new music, and you could listen to some of the
Mhm.
albums in the back. And I know I'm aging myself right now. But
That's
and
okay. Listen,
the smell when you walked in, it was
yeah.
just amazing. Yeah, I miss that too. They're trying to open a record store actually over by us, in Enumclaw, and they're trying to bring that back, kind of that nostalgic feel. So I'm really hoping that that does well, because I would love to see that take off again.
Well, even there's been a big movement towards people getting turntables and buying vinyls, you know. And we've always had a turntable, and we have vinyls because that's how old I am. So never mind. I mean, my first record, my dad, when I was 10, bought me a red and white kind of, you know, uh, record player, we called it. And the bottom was red, the top was beige, and he brought home a 45. So if you know what a
Aw,
45
yes.
is, you know how old I am. And the song was Marty Robbins, A White Sports Coat and a Pink Carnation.
Don't
And
know the song, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah, you know, and that was a big hit in the 50s. And so, yeah, it was, I'm not a musician in that I play an instrument. I did take piano lessons and learned how to play, but it doesn't come naturally to me. But I love music, and I love all different kinds of music, and I love to dance. And, you know, music's always been a big part of my life. My dad's people were very musical. They had all the instruments in the house. When we were kids, we would go there and they would play for us. I was always fascinated by that. So, what's your thought on? Let's talk a little bit about wellness and music, because what what are your thoughts around music being very therapeutic, and how can
I
people use music to do that?
I actually think that's something that's not utilized enough, to be totally honest.
Okay.
Especially in situations like group singing or choirs. There are a few companies that have started support groups for PTSD or for depression and things. It's been shown that when you sing and you do it with others, it releases endorphins, and it releases chemicals in your brain that actually helps you heal, and to reconnect certain I'm going to say the word wrong, probably the neural pathways.
Yes. Yes.
So, and I'm not a physician, I'm not in the medical field or anything. So I apologize if I ever mispronounce or say anything wrong with that. But
No, that's correct.
music, it has such a healing ability. And I mean, it dates all the way back in history to our very beginnings. People have always had music. We've always congregated together. We've always sung, or, you know, you see these tribes and things that are completely cut off from civilization. That is one of their core elements, is song and music and expression. And I think that it has such a superb way of helping people to let go of tension and bottled up emotions, and to start the healing process and moving forward. Whether it's, you know, you don't have to be a singer and sing. You can be, you know, listening to a song that's helping you to connect, or bring up emotions maybe that you don't want to face in front of other people. And the thought that someone obviously went through that same situation in order to be able to write that song can give you a sense that you're not alone. Other people have been there, and other people can be there for you, because it's a shared, you know, it's a shared medium. It's something that everybody can take part of, whether they're listening, dancing, singing, performing, writing. I know lots of people that write songs and never do anything with them, just because the act of writing it gets it out of their body and allows them to feel better and to start to heal. A common practice is for people, you know, to write down their thoughts and then burn them, because it, you know, symbolically sends it out into the universe. It's no longer their cares or their problems. But yeah, I think music, there's a huge possibility for more music therapy, especially when it comes to things dealing with depression and anxiety. And I really wish that there would be more exploration and more support in that area, rather than trying to take it away. Because like in the school systems, the first things that they cut
I
are
know.
music, art,
Yes.
theater, the things that allow children to feel safe and have a way to express themselves, and to have that healing process. they're basically taking it away from them and saying, no, you need to be little robots and learn what we tell you to learn. And that's it. You're not allowed to be an individual. And I know people that have said that theater literally has saved their lives. Like they would not have been able to survive growing up into adulthood without having that outlet for them to feel like they could be themselves and to find friends. And even with my daughter, that was her more or less saving grace. She was being horribly, horribly bullied by people she thought were her friends. And she had a hard time with it. We wrote, we got it out into the world. And then that kind of opened her up to trying a different group of friends. And ironically enough, it was theater. Musical theater is where she found her people that could be silly and goofy and still be a child. At 13, they're really, really pushed to act like young adults and to be serious all the time. And some of them are unfortunately growing up way too fast. But that theater group seems to hang on to a little bit of their youth and their innocence, and they're willing to just be silly and goofy and say, odd stuff. And so she's happier than I've seen her in years, and it's all because she was able to get into theater. I shudder to think about what would have happened if her school didn't have some kind of program, whether it be choir or theater. Because I know a lot of the programs back home where I'm from, they've all been canceled and kicked out. They claim they don't have the funding for it and it's not important enough.
Exactly. And that just ties into my background. I was a teacher in the school system for many years, and I retired after 15 years because of the very thing that you're talking about. The first stuff to go were the arts side of life, which are so important. And our programs we had for gifted kids, that would be the first to go. So the balance isn't there. You see, you're right. You're absolutely right on that. I see Jay is trying to come in, so we'll give a little break here. We'll take a little 30-second break, and hopefully he'll get back in here shortly. My guest today, Brandi Wyne from the beautiful Seattle, Washington, singer, songwriter, mom, wow, you name it, and cross-country traveler, I might add. We'll be right back.
Standing in the dark, I see your face, but the pieces broke apart. Where are you from? Why are you here? Can you tell me all the secrets that you fear? Lying down a dark, empty road, fighting just for one glimpse of hope.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, host of the Today Show, and we're here for Wednesday, which is usually wellness is our theme on Wednesdays. Monday, it's self-care, self-improvement, empowerment. That's my field. And on Tuesdays, we're joined by Dr. Amin Modiri out of California, and we do finance. We talk about all different ways that finance impacts our lives. Wednesday is wellness, and a special feature today to have Brandi here. And on Thursdays, we do our specialized community. So our veterans, our Indigenous community, our disabled community, we interview people from those special communities. And if you recall, last Thursday, my guest was Hastings, a good friend of mine from Malawi, Africa. And he is in charge, he and his wife, Simone, to take care of 400 kids in an orphanage with kids that have no parents. Can you imagine? And they provide education and food and clothing for those kids. And on Fridays, it's just anything goes on Friday. It could be anybody from a gymnastic person to an artist to whatever. We just have fun on Fridays. So, Brandi, back to you. There's so much I want to ask you and so much I want to know. But let's see. This whole thing about the school system, you got me there. You got me there because it's so out of balance. And I retired. Are you ready? Because this will age me now. I retired in 1984. I've been retired from teaching in the public school system for 40 years.
It's scary to think that that's how early those problems started.
Yes. And the thing that broke the straw that broke the camel's back for me was not only were all of those cuts and all of that, but now we were being asked to administer medication to the children who were a little bit overactive. And it was the drug called Ritalin. And that's 40 years ago. And I went, no, the buck stops here. I'm not qualified to give kids medication. I am not giving kids medication just from a moral perspective. If they need a little extra work because they're a little hyper, they're probably gifted. And so let's just get a little more creative about how we're going to handle that. So it was a form of control to keep the kids relaxed so they didn't cause a problem. Are you kidding me? I left on that.
Yeah.
Said, I'm done.
That's a tough one. I mean, my son is on the spectrum, and we don't give him anything. He's considered highly capable. I mean, and that's not a knock to anybody who has to. One of my dear friends also has a child who's severely more autistic, and he needs medication just to be able to function in normal society. We've seen that firsthand, but it seems like it kind of became a crutch. Anybody who's a little bit hyper, they're like, put them on something. We don't want to deal with it. Whereas from my standpoint, I'm like, it's called being a kid. They're going to have energy. They're going to test boundaries and act up. And, that's just a part of being a little child. Like, they want to run around. They don't want to sit at a desk. I didn't want to sit at a desk.
No.
So, but yeah, that is and again, they're giving them medication and then taking away their playgrounds.
That's right.
So yeah, it's sad.
Well, yeah. Well, here's Jay. He's going to join us here. Good morning.
Hi, guys.
Hey, I know
Hi.
that guy.
How are you?
We're doing good. We're definitely not running out of things to talk about, let me tell you.
Well, so, yeah, I heard. No, it was a great show. I was listening to you guys. Sorry, I've been so busy. I just, I was doing some promos with with a couple other musicians this morning, and then I just jumped on Twitter to do a live show on Twitter in the USA with Kurt and them, and then I wanted to come on and touch base with you guys and see how you're doing.
Right. Well, where'd you meet this beautiful woman?
Yeah.
How did you meet this beautiful woman?
Me. She's talking about me.
So I met Brandi.
Which one?
No, I didn't hear because it cut out. My technology this morning is really bad. We've had to reboot some stuff this morning. So I met Brandi through the platform called Big Records and Mark Rosner out in BC, as we have a couple of their musicians underneath their stable now, and we're promoting them. And I know Brandi's having a big event planned in November, and I know she's been talking to our non-for-profits. Have you talked to Brian yet? Not yet, Brandi?
Not yet. He sent me a text message, so we're gonna try and meet up a time to have a phone call.
This is great. No, yeah, so this is great, and I know Brandi's coming on our Wild Child Record show on Friday, so we're gonna do a nice extensive interview with her all about her music and her band, and so things are going great. We're really excited about supporting this event, Brandi, in November. Can you share a little bit? I know you guys probably already talked about it, but now that I'm online, no, okay. Oh,
Not
okay.
yet.
There you go.
So we're trying to partner up with a nonprofit. We're putting together a concert that is the theme is rock love, not hate. So it's supporting love and expressionship through music and healing through music, rather than obviously resorting to other means. But we've got 4 artists so far that are confirmed that are going to be joining us, and we're still in the initial setup stage because, like I said, we want to get our nonprofits on board and then get our sponsorships behind that. But it should be a really fun event. It's like 400 people, so not huge, but it'll be an intimate concert, and yeah, it's just going to be a good time.
That's great.
And Where's it going to be?
It's in Tacoma, Washington at Real Art Tacoma. So yeah, it's a great little venue. They've got a cafe in the back, and it's all ages, which is something that I think is really important. So everybody can experience the music and the setting. And we're even bringing in a young group from the School of Rock to open up the program. Again, I try to do what I can to support children in music or in the arts and schools in the arts. And so helping support that music school by giving them the experience of being on a real stage with real musicians. I thought that would be a great tie-in.
Yes.
And they seem super excited about it.
This
That
is great.
sounds amazing. And what's the date again, Brandi?
November 16th.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about your band, Brandi. Tell us about the members of your band.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, so the members of the band, my lead guitarist is Tom Rachko. He has been in the music industry for more years than he'll ever even tell me. Very sweet man, extremely talented, especially when it comes to anything with like a Santana vibe. Our bass player is Michael Frenzy. I'm going to say that last name probably wrong because he's Sicilian/Italian and I can never pronounce those names right. He's been in our group now for about 6 months. Our previous bass player had too many projects going on and needed to stick closer to home because he was commuting quite a ways to get to us. Both of those gentlemen are up on the north end, so they're up by Woodinville area. David is our rhythm guitarist, hails from Brazil, and he's a wonderful person. He's got 3 beautiful little daughters and is about my age, insanely talented. And then there is Justin Cassidy, who is our drummer, and he hails from the Auburn area. He's our little Irish redhead, so we try not to give him anything to drink before shows in case his temper flares. We don't want drumsticks coming at us. Not that he would do that. Yeah, so we're kind of a big mix. We're like a hodgepodge of lots of different ethnicities and ages, and but I think it helps our music, having all the different perspectives brought into one circle. Like Tom will pick up something that maybe one of us didn't hear or an idea that we didn't think of. And, and Justin's the baby of our group, since he's about 10 years younger even than me, actually 15, but he's the baby of the group. So we get that wide span of input and insight. And not only that, but kind of feeling like the generations, what they want and what they're listening to. And we try to incorporate all of that if we can, which is probably part of the reason all of our songs sound so different, because we're constantly pulling off of each other's ideas.
So how many in the band then?
So there is 5 in total.
Including you.
Yes, including me. You realize it is like 8 a.m. here, right? Yeah, including me. There's 5 in total.
That's great. Okay, I got so many more questions, but I'm going to save my questions for tomorrow's show. So I just wanted to pop in quickly, see how you guys are, and I'm promoting the show as we're speaking. So just to let you guys know, if I'm looking down while I'm promoting the show, so it's being pumped out on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Roku, Your Home TV. And just to let people know that I think we're up to now about 23,000 eyeballs per episode. So it's growing.
Nice.
It's growing. Yeah, it's growing. It's growing. So keep us posted for with the tour. And I know we're going to be talking a lot. And Laurie, we talk 75 times a day. So okay, guys, I'm out of here. Have a great one.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
I've just put the date up there, Brandi, November 16th, Tacoma, Washington. I would love to go there, but I'm going to be in California at that time. So, because it's, we can drive there. It's so easy to get to where you are from here. We're just north. We're just north.
Oh.
One night on the road, maybe not even a night on the road if we want to drive straight through, but that might be a good, sometime maybe my musician on my team, Jill Younghusband, we could do a girl trip and come to a concert or an event that you're doing. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, if she wanted to come up on stage and join for a number or two, we'd be cool with that too. We
Yes.
we're a very inclusive group. As far as like music goes, we're always encouraging one another. And if we have other musicians that are at our shows, especially if they have their own shows coming up, we're pretty big about being like, hey, come up here, come sing with us for a minute and tell us about what you have coming. And it's a community. It's not a contest.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
So it's
well,
good
Jill, Jill would fit right in there because she sings all different kinds of music. And when she got out of the military, she took 2 years of music at Grant McEwen here in Alberta, and formally trained there. And she has produced a CD. So, she'd be a great add-on. I hope she's still here listening. Ha. Oh yeah. She says road trip. Woohoo. Yes. When we get back from California, she's coming to California with me. So, yeah, we're going down for 10 days to spend some time down there with our clients and to attend an event for some awards we're getting. And so, yeah, it's all fun. It's all fun stuff. You're right on the way. I tried to talk her into driving down the other day, but she didn't want to do that. We're going to fly down.
I don't blame her on that one.
No.
2 hours or 3 hours by flight versus 14 in a car, somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So I mean, by the time you factor in your gas, your hotel,
well, that's what she said.
Trip, you're kind of out of wash anyway, so you might as well take the easier route.
Yeah, it's just cheaper to fly, saves time and money, right? So
yeah,
right on. So let's see, how many concerts do you do in a month, or like, do you have a regular schedule that you have stuff lined up, or are you just constantly working on the next gig? How does that go?
Yeah, it's more, we're constantly working on when our next show is going to be. Once we finish a show, typically that's when we go and we'll book our next show at that particular venue. Right. And we try not to have shows in the same area within, 2-3 weeks of each other, because not everybody wants to go to the same shows all the time, obviously. But it varies. Like this month this weekend we've got a show. We're way up north and up by Everett on Friday night. Saturday we're down at Browns Point in Auburn for a festival. Last weekend we were in a festival. That's it's the season for that right now. The following week I don't have anything because I had to block it out because that's my daughter's performance with her musical. So we're all going to get together and go support that and embarrass the living daylights out of her, of course. And then we're going to Atlanta for the ISSA Awards. We're actually the opening band for that award show. So we'll be there for a couple of days. And then we fly back, and then we're performing at the Adult Club, which is I know it sounds weird, but it's actually like a yacht club thing with a very unique name down by the water. And yeah, so it's like this month we've got something every weekend, almost every Friday, Saturday. There are other months where we'll block it out. Like September, we're not doing any shows. Our lead guitarist is having work done on his guitar. He's got some traveling he needs to do. And we want to have time to really prepare for our big show coming up in November. So we had to take at least a chunk of time to make sure, okay, we have all of the sound ready. We have the lighting ready. We have all the bands with their lineups and the stage plots. And it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. I really give props to any booking agents that have to go through all that, because it is a lot of work to keep everything straight.
Oh, yes.
And then making sure we have, all of our promotions set and all of that. So we'll take a chunk of time off for that. In Washington in January, typically it's hard to drive around because of the ice. So we try to keep, after the holidays, the first month in January and beginning of February, we typically do a lot of in-studio recordings, so that we use that as our time to get our music down and get it ready for releases. And then I guess this February, where I'm actually going to be at the Invictus Games.
Oh,
So yeah, it's fun. They have like this whole lineup starting from February 2nd, for like music shows and stuff leading up to it. And we've been invited to be a part of that. So super
beautiful.
excited about that. Little nervous about Canada in February. Thinking I'm going to need a much heavier coat, but other than that, very
Well,
excited.
if you're going to British Columbia, that's the mildest part of Canada you could be in. And, typically they don't get as much snow and all that. Yeah, well, that's excellent because, we're part of that in the Invictus Games, preparing for that too. Yeah. And the Super Bowl, I'll be going to the Super Bowl representing the channel in February.
Fun.
Yes. So we have always, for the past 9 years, Jay has had the accreditation to be part of the media that travels to the Super Bowl. We're not the big announcer, but there are smaller channels and stations that participate. So I'll be going down to represent the Today Show. So I'm really excited about that.
Is there someone you're rooting for?
Pardon?
Do you have a team you're rooting for? You're hoping is going to make it?
No.
No.
I have to be partial. I'll be happy for whoever wins. That's how they have to be when you're in the media, right? You have to be impartial. I picked up on something you said though, and I'd love to ask you about. You had said that you had written a song called Victim.
Yes.
And see, I do listen. So two things I want to know. I want to know about that song, what brought that up to write that and what it's about. And secondly, but no, let's do this first. If people want to hear you and your music, where's the best place for us to go?
Well, you can find my music on any streaming platform under Brandi Wyne, BrandiWyne. Outside of that, if you want, you can find it on my website, which is BrandiWyneMusic.com. Or there are also links at Big Records. If you go to bigrecords.world, I apologize. Again, it is early here. And then scroll down through their artists and find my artist page.
Okay. I'm going to put your website up there, and that'll take us everywhere, I suspect.
Yes. Yeah, there's links to absolutely everything on there at some place or point.
Okay, great. I'll put that up right there. Look. Excellent. Now, tell me about the song, because, the work that we do in the world, I've been in business 32 years now in this business, and I've developed over 1,000 workshops to support people with their recovery, their healing, their personal and professional development. So we have a huge wide range of offerings around that. So, of course, we've all been a victim at some point or another. But Brandi, I have to tell you, the old Laurie back in the day before I knew anything, I thought a victim was somebody in a car accident. That's how narrow my view was. So over to you to talk about that song.
Okay. Well, and actually it's interesting that you chose that one. That is actually the song that I sat down and wrote with my daughter, Lexi. So as I mentioned before, she was having some severe issues with bullying, and I had asked her what she wanted to do about it, and or how I could help. And she basically wanted to know what I would do. And I said, well, I always write music. It helps get it out in the air. And she's like, okay, well, let's do that. So we sat down and we wrote the song, and which kind of explained some of her feelings about how she felt she was being treated. And I then asked her if she wanted to take it a step further, and was like, well, do you want us to take this and actually record it? And again, being the age that she was at, she's like, oh yeah, that'll be so much fun. And so she got to experience what having a producer on a song is like. Our producer, Tyler Mays, helped with the song a lot, and it was really cute. But this is also how she kind of is like, maybe I don't want to write music for a living, because she saw how we would take the song and then well, let's try this. Let's move this. Let's try moving this here. Well, what if you sung it this way? Well, let's try, because that's their job, is to try and help you make the song as good as possible. By the time we were done, she's like, I really like the song, but it really wasn't the song we originally started with. The words were still there, but things were moved around. And then some of the phrases we changed to make a little bit more generally relatable. So it was a great experience. She had so much fun with it. And she's actually going to be performing it with us at the ISSA Awards in August, which she's also super stoked about. But yeah, it was one of those, it's like, Mom, that was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. It's like, well, yeah, it's, anything that you want to do for a living or, professionally, it's going to be work. It's, you can't just throw it out there and say, here, just do it. So it was a good wake up call for her to kind of see how much went into it. But yeah, it was a great process. I loved that she got to sing on it. So she does a lot of the backing vocals and some of the callbacks. And once we were all done with it, she actually loves sharing it with some of her friends and telling them the story about, hey, yeah, well, I was really upset and this helped me and I did this. And she sometimes will encourage some of her friends to do the same thing and to try and write stuff down. And she's like, even if you don't go in studio, because that's not as much fun as it seems, but you should write it down. It really helped. And, so
Yeah.
It was a great experience, both for her and for me, because getting to say that I did something with my daughter, that's not something a lot of parents can look back and say, yeah, I this is something I put out into the world with them. So it was really, really special for me.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Right on. Yes. And the bullying thing, we have a product it's called 10 Ways to Build Confident Children. It's 10 workshops. And that's my anti-bullying program, because, if the kids can put that confidence out there immediately, bullies tend to pick the ones who have a little insecurity or, there's a little shyness or something going on for them. So, we've got a lot of connections. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. We have about 3 minutes left. So if you had a group of young people in front of you who were all interested in, getting into the industry, and you had the opportunity to give them a really great piece of advice, what is it that you would share? Just take a minute, think about it. And what is it that you'd want them to know on the front end going into the business?
That it's not going to be easy.
Right.
That if they love it, they're really going to have to keep at it, and they're going to need to look for like-minded people to help them. It's not something you can do 100% alone. So, find your tribe, find the people that enjoy the same things and the music and, who want to help one another. 'Cause, you are going to run into the bad eggs. But don't let it discourage you. 'Cause if you've really got a gift and it's something you is a part of you that you need to share, plow through. You'll find it, but you're just going to have to be resilient. There are no overnight successes. We always joke that it's a 7-year overnight success. Like these people come out of nowhere, but they've been in the industry behind the scenes forever. So just keep at it. Don't lose your confidence, and don't let anybody tell you no.
Good.
So.
Great advice, Brandi. Thank you. All right. Well, we're going to wind down here. My guest today, Brandi Wyne, and talking about music, talking about wellness, talking about balance, talking about kids. You name it, we've probably covered it. So thank you so much, Brandi, for being on the show today. And remember, we're streaming live right now on a bunch of platforms, so you can find us just about anywhere. And thank you to those of you who stopped by to watch us today. We've had some live viewers right here on this platform. So thank you for being here. And we'll be back tomorrow for our special community day. So bye for now, and have a great rest of the day, everyone. Thank you, Brandi.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
The day is set. Join us October 12th, 2024 at Carrigan Arms for our next fundraiser in honor of veterans, the Invictus Games in British Columbia, Canada, and TDC Employment Program enrollment. For more information, email us at info@thedisabilitychannel.ca. The Disability Channel would like to thank our existing sponsors. We really appreciate the support and kindness from the BIAs across the GTA, Ontario, Canada, and our friends in the USA. We love making new friends. Thank you for supporting our existing employment programs. The Disability Channel would like to thank our existing sponsors. We really appreciate the support and kindness from the BIAs across the GTA, Ontario, Canada, and our friends in the USA. We love making new friends. Thank you for supporting our existing employment programs. Introducing Veteran House Alliance International Monthly 50/50 Raffle. Purchase your ticket today, link on display, and have a chance to win cash and help a great platform supporting veterans. We welcome you to advertise and promote your goods and services, and/or brand your logo to 34 million subscribers on Canada Talks 167. Your investment will go towards our employment programs in the media industry for persons with disabilities and veterans.